Hello, everyone. Welcome into Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer here to talk to you about the first start for Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl on January 1st, a 6.5-point favorite. The Volunteers are over the Iowa Hawkeyes. But I want to just talk in this video about how Nico and this Tennessee team going against an Iowa team, there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration and that you need to be expecting from Nico with him having been there all season and been in part of that offense and been preparing as the backup and things like that, but also what you can be looking for, good, bad, and different in this start versus Iowa. And all of that is going to be broken down right here in just a second. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And guys, make sure that you help us out by, if you're wanting to add a little bit of, extra on the line, okay, put a little extra cheese on the Whopper, as they say over there, bet on some of these games, then you need to head over to Bet Online. All of the major sports are in action this week with college football playoffs ready to kick off, these bowl games going on. BetOnline is your #1 destination for all your sports wagering info, including news for pro football, the NBA, upcoming UFC fights, and the NHL games this season. Head over to the website today, that's betonline.ag, and get into the action and see all of the updated odds, news, trends, predictions, everything that you want right there together. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, all caps, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. So where we need to start is, this is Nico Iamaleava's first start ever for Tennessee. That in itself is going to be a deal where the young man is going to have to, obviously he's a very confident player. He's a very good player, but he's going to have to deal with some nerves, some issues, things like that, because he's a human being. Okay. That's what happens. And I don't care if you've started one game or, 40 games. Whenever you're a starting quarterback, I don't care if it's at the high school level, the college level, the NFL level, there's a certain element of having some nerves to you, because if otherwise it doesn't matter to you if you don't have that going on. So I expect those to be elevated a little bit there for Nico. Heard Carson Beck say earlier this year, he's a guy who had been at Georgia it was going in his 4th year, and he was going to start against UT Martin to start off the year. And he said he was so nervous he thought he was going to throw up going into that game. So we'll see how he handles in terms of the nerves. I think the fact that it's a bowl game environment, it's more of a neutral site deal, maybe not as hyped up. I do expect Tennessee fans to travel very well to the Citrus Bowl, so I think that'll help. But I think if it was in Rocky Top, he would be even more amped up, and sometimes that can be too much adrenaline, can be too bad sometimes as well. So just the composure, which I think he's a very low-key individual, a very mature individual, so I don't think that'll be too much of a problem for Nico. But early on, just settling in, and I think that he's in the perfect offense for Josh Heupel to be able to do that, because they can utilize tempo, they can utilize getting the ball out quick on the perimeter and some screens, and then the run game is also going to be your friend. But I want to caution everyone that whether the results against Iowa are tremendous, like he goes out there and throws for over 304 touchdowns, or if the results are rather bleak, where Nico goes out there and throws a couple of picks and struggles to get, over 200 yards and gets sacked a few times or something like that, I would caution you not to be a prostitute to results. What does that mean? I used to have a baseball coach that would tell me, hey, don't be a prostitute to results, meaning just because you finished the day, 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs in the box score doesn't mean that you did everything right or that your process was right and how you went about attacking the day in the batter's box. And the same thing can be said if you go 1 for 5 or 0 for 4, and you still went in there and you put the ball in play and moved runners over, and you didn't swing at bad pitches and things like that. Just because you had bad results doesn't mean the process was wrong, or doesn't mean that your swing was wrong. You could have hit 4 line drives right at somebody, things like that. So don't be a prostitute to results in Nico Iamaleava's first start for Tennessee. Case in point, Joe Milton at the end of last year, coming in and having blowout wins against Vanderbilt and Clemson, and everybody thinking, okay, well, it's just going to be moving right along here for the Volunteers. This offense is going to crank right along in 2022. But even amidst those performances where Joe and the offense racked up numbers and touchdowns and things like that, there were clear moments where he was incapable of making certain throws, not from an arm strength standpoint. Everybody knows that Joe Milton has as strong of an arm as any human being walking on this planet. However, the issue was the nuanced throws, being able to take a touch pass over the middle and being able to layer it in front of a safety, over top of a linebacker, put that touch on something out in the flat when you're on the move and you need to make it a catchable ball. Throw the change up every once in a while, as our friend Jake Crane would say about Joe Milton. And I think those are the types of things, more than the yards and the touchdowns and things like that, that you need to be looking for out of Nico Iamaleava in this first start against Iowa. One, because there are going to be some bad things that happen in this game. Let's just look at the stats of what he's going up against. This is not some, run-of-the-mill defense. This is an elite defense that has been elite for a while under Kirk Ferentz. They do a great job. You can make all the jokes you want to about their offense, but they play as good of team defense as anybody that you'll find out there, and they believe in the style of things that they do. Phil Parker does a tremendous job. The Broyles Award winner as the DC. National rankings, scoring 4th in the country, 13.2 points per game. Rushing 13th in the country, just over 100 yards per game. Passing only 172 yards allowed per game. Total offense, you combine that up, 274. So they're not even allowing people 300 yards a game of offense on the year. Now, I know some of these Big Ten offenses that they face, maybe not as good, but I don't care who you're playing. Those are elite numbers if you're putting them up. I don't care what league you're in. Third down conversions, they're only allowing people to convert 31.63% of the time. For reference, Georgia was the best in the country at 26% of the time. And then red zone touchdown percentage allowed 2nd in the country, only allowing people touchdowns 39% of the time when you get inside of their 20-yard line. So they do a good job of holding people to field goals. So I think when it comes down to it, you can expect some things to be up and down, like we said, because of nerves, like we said, because of continuity. You've got to, you're getting the first team reps now, but you still haven't had game experience with these receivers, in this type of environment and things like that. So that's got to come to fruition a little bit. And then, like we said, you're facing a really good defense, as we just listed out. So with all those things, we know that the results themselves are going to be up and down. So what do you need to look for to see, yes, this is the guy that we have, and this is the guy that we want for next year, and this is why we put all the resources, the time, the effort to bring Nico Iamaleava to Knoxville, to be the next guy, to really be the heir apparent to Hendon Hooker, because I think anybody with a brain would have told you that Joe Milton was no more than a stopgap and probably should have been pulled midway through the Missouri game. I don't know why they were so loyal to him, but they were. So now Nico gets his opportunity, and the things that you need to look for, I've got 3 of them that I think, regardless of results, if Nico shows these 3 things, then I think things are going to be looking very promising for Tennessee in 2024. One, how do his feet look when he's making throws? Is he dancing back there? Is he uncomfortable when he does escape the pocket? Is he fluid and decisive? If he can do those things, because it's when young quarterbacks, inexperienced quarterbacks, they get their feet. They're not in a position to be set to throw if they're moving in the pocket, or when they do escape the pocket, they're making late decisions and trying to throw the ball late over the middle, things of that nature. So how do the feet look, and how does the decision making look when things aren't perfect? Okay, if you're not trying to force things, then I think then that's a really good thing. But how does he look just fundamentally in terms of the footwork and the release, things of that nature, being able to handle different variations of things that I was going to throw at you? Now, I was a very well coached defense. We said Phil Parker, Kurt Ferentz, they do a great job of putting their team, especially I would think with this much time to prepare for Tennessee's defense. And undoubtedly, they've talked to teams like Georgia and they've probably talked to teams like Alabama on, hey, what are some of the ways we can go about stopping this Tennessee defense? It's what happens in college football. So with all of that said and done, what they're going to do is they're going to have a good plan, and there's going to be Iowa is going to make some plays at different times on defense, and they're going to put Tennessee in some bad situations because of Tennessee's tempo. They don't do a whole lot of check with me, a whole lot of audibling at the line of scrimmage, and probably Josh Heupel wants to keep things simple and concise and let any of the decision making be after the snap with RPOs and box counts and things of that nature. So given that, I'm sure Iowa is going to put Tennessee in some bad situations at a couple of times, but it's Nico's job, and I think the most important to see out of him is, can he not make a bad situation into a bad result, negative play for Tennessee? Don't make a bad situation worse. Don't compound an error or a mistake. Given that, if they bring pressure one more maybe than you have, are you able to find your hot quickly? Are you able to know where your check down is to get it out to the back? Are you able maybe at times to take a sack when it is called for? So sometimes taking a sack is not a terrible thing, okay? Especially if there's if there's a bad deal out there in terms of the coverage is totally different than you thought, something like that, or can you throw the ball away at times to make things not be terrible in terms of making the critical error? So that is a maturity thing. That's something that he would be that would show that, hey, Nico is ready for this moment, because that could have been a really bad situation there. We busted a protection. We made a bad call here as a coaching staff that we should have ran something different, but because of Iowa's tendencies, things of that nature. How does Nico handle those situations? And then what I want to see from him are those nuanced throws. Not every throw is just an absolute Parmesan pellet right down the field at 70, 80 miles an hour. Okay, that's not how it is in football. You're not able to just constantly just ram the ball into windows. All right, I want to see him make decisions, not throw the ball into double coverage. Give his receivers chances to make plays on 50-50 balls. Give them chances to make play on back shoulder throws. And when it's a ball over the middle, and like I said, in that intermittent passing game, in that intermediate area, can you keep the ball layered and with a little bit of touch on it in front of those safeties? That Iowa's defensive backs are opportunistic. They like to come up and break up passes, and they're going to by coverage and alignment, they're going to keep a lot of stuff in front of them, but they do a good job on breaking on the ball. Can you nuance things and use your eyes as well to get linebackers and safeties out of position and then be able to deliver the ball with confidence? Those are the types of things. Like I said, I don't care if he goes in there and something happens where, hey, you're coming around, it's busted protection, or it's, something that happens, it's wet, ball slips out of your hand, whatever. Those kind of crazy things are going to happen. And especially in a first start, who knows, a receiver may run a wrong route, may not be in the spot that you thought they were, and you end up throwing a pick right to a guy. Not necessarily every pick is a quarterback's fault. What I want to see is the process. Okay. Does he have a understanding of this offense? Like I said, hots, check downs. Is he able to operate efficiently with his footwork, with his mechanics outside of the pocket as well? And then is he able to make those nuanced throws? Is he able to change the elevation of throws? Is he able to put throws in a position where his receiver or no one has a chance to make the play, and not everything be just a absolute fastball, which was Joe's weakness there? Can Tennessee get some of that nuance back to the offense? And I think if those things happen with the talent and the athleticism that Nico has and the talent that Tennessee is bringing in, hey, I think that the sky's the limit for the 2024 offense over there if he shows those things. Now, keep in mind, this is a complimentary game. Iowa is not very good offensively, but Tennessee is also dealing with a lot of people, a lot of secondary members, things of that nature that are not going to be present here on the defense. So the defense needs to show some maturity and next man up mentality, and also help out their quarterback, special teams as well, play some complimentary football, because the last thing that you want Nico to do is let a Iowa team, who's not a very good offensive team, get a couple of like cheap scores or something along that line, and then put even more pressure on him to be able to come out there and get things done from that end. So excited to see Nico Iamaleava's first start for Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl versus Iowa. Again, Tennessee 6.5-point favorites in this game. Over under is only 36, so an implied total of like 24-17 Tennessee, something along those lines is what Vegas is thinking at this point. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We got a little bit of a rebrand that's coming here soon, so not going to be Southeastern 14 much longer, with now there being more than 14 teams in the SEC, with Texas and Oklahoma coming aboard. But we like to cover all things Tennessee, all things SEC here on the channel. So make sure you like this video. That helps out our algorithm a lot. Subscribe. That's always great. A lot of you watch the videos, but you're not subscribed. It's absolutely free. Just hit that button, hit that subscribe button, and then turn on notifications so you'll know when we go live. We'll probably go live a couple of times during the playoffs to react to how those games go, with now two SEC teams, Texas being a new SEC team involved in that. So I'm sure we'll go live after Michigan and Alabama, and we'll go live after Texas and Washington, things of that nature. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Blayne Gilmer for Southeastern 14, and we'll catch you guys next time as we're presented by Bet Online.